So let's talk about that feeling. You know the one, right? That moment you want to speak English. Maybe the words are even there in your head, but it feels like hitting a wall.
Yeah, that hesitation. Or just feeling stuck.
Exactly. When what you're really aiming for is, well, confidence. You just want to speak.
But the how? How do you practice that effectively, day to day, without getting bogged down? It's a really common sticking point.
It absolutely is. That gap between knowing stuff and actually feeling confident saying it out loud,
Yeah.
that's where people often get stuck.
They've got the basics, maybe, but the active speaking part, it's just not quite there.
Which is why this deep dive is, I think, pretty relevant. We've been digging into some source material. It's kind of a guide, really.
Right.
Packed with these simple daily exercises. And they're designed specifically for that tackling speaking confidence.
Yeah, it's structured almost like short prompts you'd listen to. And the whole focus is getting you to actually use your voice.
It's not about super complex grammar, is it? Or like obscure vocabulary lists.
Not at all. The core thing seems to be practical use. Taking simple everyday phrases and getting you to actively, speak them.
Saying them out loud.
Exactly. It breaks it all down into these small, manageable bits. The emphasis is totally on vocal participation, even just for a few minutes a day.
So if you're listening and you want to kind of cut through the theory, get straight to a practical method for building that confidence.
And maybe find some aha moments without feeling overwhelmed.
Then yeah, this should be useful. Our mission here is to really unpack how this source material suggests building that confidence.
We want to pull out the main principles, the techniques. Look beyond just the specific words they give, Understand the method behind it.
Okay, let's get into it then. Let's unpack this.
Well, what's really striking is how immediate it is. It kind of bypasses all the theory and just says, do this.
Right. What's the first thing?
The very first instruction is basically say something simple like, I feel good today, but, and this is key, say it out loud.
Not just think it.
No, explicitly, say it. Don't just think it.
And that immediate, vocal start, that seems really important, doesn't it? It's not waiting until you feel perfect or ready.
Exactly. It forces you to make a sound right from the get-go. Why do you think that's so powerful, starting like that?
Well, it seems like it hits that psychological barrier straight away. That internal editor lots of learners have.
The fear of making a mistake when you open your mouth.
Yeah. So by starting with something really simple, personal, I feel good. It's low stakes, right? It relates directly to you right now.
So it gets you past that first hurdle. You're using your voice, connecting the language to yourself. It makes it feel more real, I suppose.
Grounds it in your experience.
Precisely.
Okay, so it's not about perfection. It's about your voice, saying your words. And then the source builds on that pretty quickly, right? Asking questions.
Yeah, move straight into things like asking, how do you feel today? And practicing simple answers.
So it becomes a sort of mini conversation immediately, even if it's just you.
Exactly. Practicing both sides, asking and answering, even basic greetings, hey, how's it going? And the answer's, not much, just chilling. It simulates those real back and forth loops.
And the source mentioned saying these with energy too.
Yes, energy. And, crucially, repeating them.
Repetition. That comes up a lot. Say it again. It's really a constant instruction.
It does.
Why is that repetition so central, do you think, based on this material?
Well, repeating things out loud, it's not just memorizing. It's about embedding those patterns in your brain and your mouth.
Muscle memory for speaking.
Kind of, yeah. For the pronunciation, the sentence flow. The source implies that the more you physically make the sounds, the more automatic it becomes. Less effortful.
Builds actual fluency, not just knowledge.
Right. And critically, the source links this repetition to the idea that confidence grows when you speak without fear. Don't wait to be perfect.
So the repetition is brave practice, not aiming for flawless first time.
Exactly. It's about the doing.
Okay, so start vocal, use personal stuff, repeat.
Yeah.
Then it moves into daily routines, right? Describing your own day.
Yes. It prompts you. I wake up, I brush my teeth. Using your life as the actual content.
Which makes it immediately relevant.
Totally. You're learning to talk about your morning, your plans. It makes the language feel useful, reinforces why you're learning it.
And the source actually says something like, the more you say it, the more natural it feels. Specifically about those routine descriptions.
It does. It connects the act of saying it to the feeling of naturalness.
Makes sense. It takes abstract grammar, like tenses, and makes it concrete. What I did what I'm doing.
And the same logic, the same method applies across other practical situations they cover, like shopping or ordering in a cafe.
Right. Instead of just vocab lists, it gives you the key phrases, how much is this?
Or, can I get a coffee, please? But the method's the same. Here's a useful phrase for a real situation. Now, say it out loud.
And they push the imagination aspect too, don't they? Imagine you're in the store. Say the lines.
Yes. Or, say it like a real order. Imagine the cafe. It's not just reading words off a page. It's active simulation.
Practicing the sort of performance of using the language.
That active simulation plus the vocal part, it trains your brain to grab those phrases when you need them in the actual situation.
Bridges the gap between, like, textbook learning and using it for real.
Yeah, the practice is the application, in a way. And the source keeps coming back to this idea. Confidence comes from hearing your voice. It really wants you to hear yourself speaking English a lot.
Which leads into something I found really interesting. The way it tackles confidence directly, not just hoping it shows up.
Ah, yes, the confidence phrases.
Like, I can speak English. I'm improving every day.
Mistakes help me learn. That one's important too.
And the instruction isn't just think this, it's
Say them with power, that's the phrase used. Or even shout it if you want. Seriously.
wow.
The source suggests that actually saying these things out loud with conviction can genuinely shift how you feel about your ability.
So it connects the vocal practice directly to changing your mindset.
Yeah.
And even how you sound. It mentions aiming for a stronger, more clear voice.
Yeah. It's almost like treating that psychological block as something you can physically practice breaking through.
Like doing vocal exercises to build confidence, not just language skills.
Right. Saying mistakes help me learn out loud isn't just positive thinking. It's framed as an action you take to build resilience, to fight the fear of messing up.
Which the source explicitly says is okay. Mistakes help me learn.
It really suggests confidence isn't just a passive feeling you hope for. It's something you actively build with your voice, with your mindset, alongside the actual language.
So looking at the whole thing, starting simple, personal, adding routines, practical scenarios, the repetition, the imagined contexts, and these explicit confidence boosters.
The common thread is always
Yeah.
consistent vocal practice.
Yeah. The source wraps it up neatly too, doesn't it? Something like, confidence comes from doing, not just knowing.
Keep speaking, keep listening, keep growing. That's the gist.
It really boils it down. The physical act of speaking, regularly, even if it's short bursts, simple stuff, that's positioned as the main driver for confidence.
It's a method that really prioritizes just getting comfortable hearing your own voice speaking the language.
Okay, so what does this all mean for someone listening? This deep dive seems to show a pretty clear path suggested by this source.
Yeah, that building a real speaking confidence. Maybe it's less about absorbing huge amounts of information.
And more about consistent, maybe even brave, vocal practice.
Right. Training your brain and your voice together. Using simple, useful stuff in contexts you can imagine, or real ones.
And actively working on the mindset with those affirmations. It feels like a direct assault on the fear itself.
The source definitely makes a strong case that focusing on the act of speaking, hearing yourself, maybe even being okay with not being perfect, that's the quickest way to feeling genuinely capable, confident.
And let's just revisit that slightly unusual advice in the source.
The shout it if you want, or talking to a mirror.
Yeah. That's not your standard language textbook fare, is it?
No, it's not.
It really highlights how much this source thinks the barrier is fear. And that making noise, being deliberate, even bold, is the way to break it down.
It really does. Which makes you wonder, doesn't it?
About what?
Well, if building confidence is so much about getting over that inhibition, that fear, how much of what we call fluency problems is actually psychological, not just a lack of words or grammar?
That's interesting. And could using your voice in these perhaps unconventional ways, loud, energetic, alone, could that be a direct way to attack that specific mental block?
What happens when you consciously decide to prioritize just making the sound, using your voice, maybe even over getting every single grammatical point perfect right away?
Yeah. What does that do for your confidence and ultimately your ability to just communicate? Something definitely worth thinking about as you practice.